What's up, everyone? It's Prince Donnell, founder of Jumping Jack Tax and the Jack franchise. And today we're going to be talking about the things they don't tell you when setting up an LLC. I appreciate you for watching this video. You've probably watched a ton of videos on setting up an LLC and everybody's giving advice and etc. And as you know, if you've been following my channel, I'm always going to provide you with a different perspective from a business standpoint, because not only am I running a financial services franchise, but actual business as well. And I like to talk about how business truly works and how you're going to be successful, and not just blowing you any smoke. So if you watch my channel, you know I always give you different perspectives and angles to think about as an entrepreneur, not just from a financial standpoint or a legal perspective. So let's get into it. I want you to like, comment, and subscribe if this video is valuable to you, please, and recommend this to somebody else who's new into the world of entrepreneurship. So let's get into it. First things first, right? When setting up an LLC, again, there are maybe 1,000 videos on YouTube right now giving you all the steps on how to set it up. You know, some recommend do it yourself, right? They show you ways of doing it yourself and how to go through the state websites and to keep it very affordable for you, and setting up the LLC in your home state, and then setting up your EIN number, and then finding your actual name that you want and registering that business, and all of these different ways in order to set this up, right? But in a lot of videos that I saw, there were things that people weren't telling you from a business standpoint, right? That ultimately is going to lead to your success in the future or your demise. Because honestly, setting up an LLC is the easy part, right? That's the easy part. But the mindset and the mindset, the financials, the marketing, the principles, the values, those are the things that actually attribute to real success, not the LLC, which is the reason why there are a ton of LLCs that are being created today, but many of them aren't even generating any revenue. They're dormant. They're inactive. So we don't want that, right? Because if we have that, then it means that we're not leading further to our goal of developing a successful business, and whatever success is considered to you. So I want to talk about the things they don't tell you, and I need you to write these down because this is going to save your life, okay? Let's get into it. First things first. Number one, learn how to let other people do the work for you. Learn how to let other people do the work for you. Here's what I mean by that when it relates to LLC or establishing a business. I've seen a lot of videos online talking about doing it yourself. Personally speaking, and this is just my opinion, I would never, ever set up an LLC myself. Never. Number one, there's work that's involved. Number two, it's going to require my time. It's going to require energy and busy work. I want you to think of yourself as a CEO. You are valuable. Every hour of your time that you spend on doing something, it's costing you money. It's costing you money. For me, the amount of value that it will cost me is different than you, because how much I'm valued at in an hour and how much you're valued at in an hour is different. As you begin to grow in business, your value per hour becomes a lot different now. So when you're spending this time setting up this LLC, that is time you could have been spending on thinking of new ideas to help that business grow in revenue, not sitting here fiddling around with paperwork. Especially when you can pay somebody $200 to be able to set up the LLC on your behalf. I would never, ever do it. Now, again, if you're just straight strapped for cash and you have no money at all, I'm sorry to tell you this, but if you're strapped for cash and you got $0, you probably shouldn't be starting a business anyway, right? Because you're not in the right financial state to start a business yet. You need to build up some capital, work, get a job, get a check, and start saving some money so you have the necessary capital to start the business. So if you strap for cash, probably not the best idea for you. But if you're somebody coming in this, you got a couple $1,000s saved up, etc. It don't got to be a lot of money. Let's say if it's $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, then spend that $200 on getting somebody to set up the LLC for you. Learn how to allow other people to do the things for you by using your money to do that. That is a mindset thing. If you don't learn that, step number one, you're going to continue to do this over and over and over again and start doing things that other people could be doing for you because you're afraid to spend money because you're still in an employee mindset. And that employee mindset is, I got to do everything and not direct other people to do it on my behalf. You have to learn this if you want to grow. And we're not talking about this mom and pop sole proprietor thing. You got to learn that that's a leadership concept. That is an investing concept. That is a spend money in order to make more money concept. That is number one in business and entrepreneurship. So all the videos on DIY, I don't agree with, because I would never waste my time doing those things ever. I would get somebody else to do it for me because I believe my time and my thoughts are valuable. So anyway, that's number one. Please write that down. Number two, write down your values and principles that your business stands on. If I were to ask you right now, just individually, what do you stand on? You probably would be like, well, Don, I stand on respect, honor, integrity, trust. These are the things that make me. These are my principles, right? Some people don't even got principles. And again, if you don't even have principles set forth for your life, the odds are you shouldn't be starting a business. If you have principles set forth for your personal life, then the business itself is its own person. It's its own entity. It's why it has an EIN number, an employer identification number, right? It has its own social. It's its own entity, which means it needs to have its own principles and values as well. I'll give you an example of that. Chick-fil-A is a company that I love. I stand Chick-fil-A. I actually did a whole Insta story on them. Love that company. Why do we all love them? Because they stand on a certain set of principles and values that they have not changed for years. One of them in particular, which I was just reading online, is that we all know that Chick-fil-A is they believe in God, right? Chick-fil-A believes in God. They believe in honoring the Sabbath. They like that, so much so that they close on Sunday. And they have not changed that at all. And we all know that Chick-fil-A closes on Sunday and we got to go on Saturday or any one of these days because we know, Chick-fil-A believes in God. They believe in the Sabbath, etc. They believe in, they have a strong principle of faith, and that's why they closed on Sunday. And it relates in their work and what they do. And when we show up in that drive-through, how they treat us, the respect level that they give us, right? That honor, them knowing our names and etc. Those are all principles and integrity. Those are all principles and values that they have set forth amongst that company to where everybody that works within that organization, they all have a clear understanding of that. And as customers, we have a clear understanding of that too when we come to their establishment to spend money. So what I need you to do is write down your principles and your values that you want this business to stand on. Because when you start having family, friends, and people that are now involved in the business, if they don't got principles and values that they're standing on, then they're going to start doing things that you do not appreciate. Why? It's your fault because they didn't know that this is how I got to operate. Even customers come to you and they start treating you and your employees and your team a certain type of way. You got to know based off your principles and values what you're going to accept from a customer and what you are simply not going to accept, because it's going to play into the future. It's going to play into your customer service. I'm telling you guys from experience when it comes to the Jumping Jack Tax franchise, one of the first things when we were setting up our operations manual for our franchise was the guy said, Don, what are the principles? What are the values that the company stands on? And it was integrity. It was faith. It was trustworthiness. It was a ton of different things that we were drawing out. And I said, wow, I didn't understand how important this was. And he said, exactly. If you want to be successful as a franchise, you have to set these principles. You have to set these values, Don. This is what the company stands on. It's like it's Bible. I need you to have that if you want to scale your LLC. And this should all be done before we even talk about any sort of launching our business from here. Now let's move to number 3. Create a back to front spreadsheet on how the business makes money. This is probably most important to me because I feel like we go into business immaturely and we want to set up an LLC. We want to launch this business, but yet we don't even know how the business makes money or how it makes profit or how much money we want to make as the business owners. So for example, when I say run a spreadsheet on your business from back to front, all right, let me ask you question number 1. How much money do you intend to make in your first year of starting this business, of this LLC? How much money you intend to make? If you don't even know the answer to that, and by the way, I mean, the biggest thing I hear people say is $1 million. I mean, hey, if you intend to make $1 million, I'm not sitting here trying to discourage you, but I think a lot of times we say $1 million simply because we think that that's the coolest thing to say, not realizing that even if the business made 250, even if it made 50,000, 75, 100,000 in its first year, that was still very successful because most businesses don't do that in their first years, even at 100K. So if we were to use an example and you were to say to me, Don, I want the business to make 100,000 this year. I would say, great. And if you don't know that as of yet, you need to figure out how much you want it to make. I want my LLC to make 100,000. Great. Now that I know that I wanted to make 100,000. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to run this from back to front now, and I'm going to use my calculator so we could do this together. I want you to type 100,000 into your calculator for me. Now that you have 100,000 typed into your calculator, you're now going to divide that 100,000 by 12 because we have 12 months in the year. That's going to give me $8,333 per month that I have to make. Now with that $8,333 per month, I want you to divide that by 4 because that's going to tell us it's 4 weeks in a month. Now that means you need to make $2,083 per week, right? Now that I know I need to make $2,083 per week, let's just divide that by 5. That means that over the course of a 5-day running period, Monday through Friday, not including weekends, I need to make $416 per day. So 416, 5 days a week is 2,080. In a month, 8,320 by 12. That's about 99,840, just a little short of $100,000. Now I know at that point that I need to make $400 or so per day. That's my goal that I have to make. Now I have a goal established, a revenue goal for my LLC. Now, again, it could decrease a little bit if you're making money on Saturdays and Sundays too. $400 per day is what I got to make. So what I need you to do right now is, depending on what your yearly goal is, and now you ran that from back to front, now you ask yourself, okay, Now you want to write that goal down and you want to say, okay, I know I need to make $400 per day. I want you to put that on your phone. I actually had it as my screensaver at one point in time in the beginning phases of starting the business, that if I don't hit this $400 goal per day, then I got to keep going all night until I get a customer that's going to get to this $400 goal. If it doesn't, I'm not going to sleep because I can't afford to go to sleep right now. I have a goal that I got to reach, right? But let's go a little deeper on this back to front before I move on from there. Now that I know I need to make $400 per day in order to hit goal, I want you to now ask yourself, when running this from back to front, how much does your product or service cost? So I'll run two examples here. Let's say that what you're selling costs $20 and then it's a $10 expense for that product. So you're actually only profiting $10. So now if I know I'm only profiting $10, but my goal is $400, because again, my goal needs to be $400 in profit, right? So if my goal is $400 now, I need to divide $400 into that $10 in profit, which means that I will actually need to sell 40 units per day in order to reach my $400 goal. The question now becomes, can you sell for 40 units per day? Right? So you got to think about that from the very beginning. If I have a service and my service is $250, right? For example, in tax preparation, it could be a $200 to $250 customer. Well, if my goal is $400, then now I know that I need about 2 clients per day in order for me to hit my $400 goal. Now you know how much money you plan to make each day. Now you will also know how many customers that you need in order to hit that goal. You're not going in blind anymore into your LLC. You're going in with intent on where you need to be and how you plan to get there. If you're not doing that, then your LLC is going to fail. There's no sense in setting it up. It's a waste of your time. So let's move into number 4 now. What is your marketing strategy on budget when it comes to launching your LLC, when it comes to launching your business? Do you have a marketing strategy set up? Do you know how you're going to market? Do you have a budget established? Which that's why I said in the beginning of the video, if you don't got no money when starting this business, I mean, you might have to wait a bit because you need to have a budget when going into this thing. Now, what is your strategy? If your strategy is simply to post on Facebook and on Instagram and on YouTube, and you expect that people are just going to buy just because you posted it, I'm telling you now, as a realistic person, you're never going to get sales. It does not work by you just posting something online and people are going to buy. That does not work. You're never going to get the sales. So if you don't have a marketing strategy or you don't have a marketing budget established, to be honest with you, I'm being very serious with you here, I would rather spend my $1,000, my $2,000, whatever money you have as the seed money to start the business. I would rather spend that money on taking a course on social media and Facebook ads. Somebody who teaches social media, somebody who teaches how to run ads. I would rather pay for a course on doing that before I actually launch the business, because you have no business if you have no marketing. I'm going to say it one more time. You have no business if you have no marketing. You're never going to get customers because they don't know who you are. They don't know what you sell. They cannot find you, especially when you have a marketplace where businesses are opening every day and it's becoming even more competitive, meaning that the one who markets the best is the one who's the winner, even if you have a superior product. I might have a subpar product, but extraordinary marketing strategy and campaign and budget, and I'll beat you every day of the week because nobody knows who you are. I'd rather spend the money on understanding marketing. So please have a strategy set forth. And if you don't have one, do not open up the business yet. Pay for a marketing course so you can understand how social media works as of right now, so you can get ahead when you actually decide to launch. If you do have a marketing strategy and a budget set forth, good for you, because that is a very, 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 very important and vital piece to actually launching your LLC and your business for it to see a level of success. Number 5, and this one is going to be quick. Search all social media platforms before launching this LLC. Listen to me clearly. It would suck for you to start a business and then come to find out somebody else has already been marketing that name and they are way more established than you are. They are way more established. They have more data points when it comes to Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, blog sites, and all of these different hashtags. I promise you, you're never going to beat them because they have too much equity on the internet. Please be mindful and search all platforms. Search Facebook, search Instagram, search YouTube, search TikTok, search just Google for blog sites so that you can know that that name is not it's not very relative on the internet. Now, it's one thing if somebody else does have the name, but they don't have a lot of equity behind that name. You might be able to come in and with the right marketing strategy, you could say, hey, I'll become the top person. But if it's somebody that already is very well established with a footprint there, I would not suggest doing that. You're going to waste a lot of money just trying to solve the confusion that people are going to have when it comes to trying to search your brand from somebody else that's already established, right? So don't do it to yourself. Search all platforms before you start that LLC. That's very, very important. Every single platform. And last but not least, number 6, you're going to set up separate bank accounts once your LLC is established. So like I said, pay somebody to get the LLC established. Within 14 days, maybe 21, you're going to have all your LLC information back. You're going to have your articles. You're going to have your EIN number. You're going to have your operation agreement with all of the things that come within that LLC. Once you have that information, if it's a partnership, you're going to have to go to the bank with your partner. And if it's a single member LLC, you could go to the bank by yourself. Make sure you bring that entire LLC booklet that they're going to give you, and you give it to the banker and tell them that you want to set up all separate bank accounts. Now, to me, there are a few different bank accounts that you want to set up, and I'll talk about this in a separate video, but I'll give you guys a synopsis. The way that I operate it is that when you set up separate bank accounts, you're going to set up an operating account. You're going to have an operating account set up. You're going to have a marketing account set up. You're going to have a reserve account set up, and you're going to have an innovation account set up, and you're going to have a tax account set up. So there's going to be 5 different accounts that you're going to be setting up when it comes to opening the business. And by the way, you can open up as many bank accounts as you would like. There's no cap to it, but those are the 5 accounts that I set up. In a separate video, I'll break down why I set up each and every one of those 5 accounts and how they play a part in your growth in the future, because I'm not thinking for right now. I'm thinking for the future, not as a single member LLC. So just to recap all 6 things that we talked about right now. Learn how to let other people do the work for you, right? Don't do the DIY method. Pay somebody to do it because your time is valuable. Number 2, write down your values and your principles that business is going to stand on. Use Chick-fil-A as the example, like I talked about, because they're very good at that phase of what I'm talking about around values and principles. Number 3, create a back to front spreadsheet so you know exactly how much money you intend to make that year, how much you need to make per day, and if your product or service can even hit that goal, because if not, you should probably start another business because you're never going to hit that goal with that type of business model. Number 4, do you have a marketing strategy and a marketing budget set forth before launching this business? If you don't, then you need to pay somebody for social media marketing training and learning ads before you even start that business, because the marketing is what makes the business. Number 5, search all social media platforms for that name before you even move forward so that you're not caught in a pickle and then you get destroyed. And then number 6, set up all separate bank accounts for the business, which again, I'll do that in a separate video to talk about that. These are the 6 things that they don't tell you, but when starting this LLC, they just say get an LLC, but this is real business that I'm talking about right here. Things that you need to understand before starting a business and then just running into things and you have no plan, you have nothing at all. And I'm not a big fan of saying I got a plan all the way down before starting something, but I need to have an idea before I do something. I need to have an idea, right? And that's important when doing these things. So those are my 6 things that they do not tell you when starting an LLC. Please take heed. These are all things that I learned from experience, and it'll help to change your life so you have a better launch of your LLC so that it doesn't become just another failed LLC in the United States of America.